Wani's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces the day Denny told her their engagement was over, because she was just a village girl, unworthy of his ambitions. But fate has a way of rewriting stories. Months later, as Denny walks nervously into his first corporate job, he's met by a powerful woman sitting behind the CEO's desk, the very same Wani he discarded. Wani and Denny were childhood sweethearts who grew up in the same quiet village. They played under the mango trees, fetched water from the stream together, and always talked about building a better life one day. Everyone in the village knew they were meant for each other. When they got engaged, their families celebrated with joy, believing their love was strong and true. But everything changed when Denny got a chance to move to the city. At first, he promised to come back for Wani, saying they would build their future together. But soon, the city began to change him. He started dressing differently, speaking with pride, and acting like the village was beneath him. One day, without warning, Denny called Wani and ended the engagement. His words were like a knife. He told her she was just a village girl and would never fit into the kind of life he now wanted. Wani couldn't believe it. The boy she trusted, the one who once held her hand and promised forever, had now thrown her away like she meant nothing. People in the village whispered. Some pitied her, others mocked her. But deep inside her broken heart, a quiet fire began to burn. She wiped her tears, looked up at the sky, and made a silent vow. If Denny thought she wasn't good enough now, he would one day see her in a way he never imagined. She would rise, she would grow, and one day he would regret ever letting her go. Wani cried for days after Denny broke off the engagement. Her heart felt heavy like a stone. She didn't eat much, didn't talk to anyone, and couldn't sleep at night. Everyone in the village looked at her with sad eyes, and some even laughed behind her back. They said she thought she could marry a city man, or this is why girls should know their place. But even in the middle of all the pain and shame, Wani's spirit didn't break. Something deep inside her refused to give up. She told herself, if Denny thinks I'm not good enough, I'll prove to him and to the world that I'm more than just a village girl. She dried her tears, tied her wrapper tight, and started to plan her life again. With no money and no support, she began small. She picked up old second-hand books from the market, taught herself English, and started reading about business. During the day, she helped her mother sell vegetables in the sun. In the evening, she cleaned houses, washed clothes, and saved every small coin she earned. At night, she attended free classes in the next village, walking long distances through the dark with only a tiny torchlight to guide her way. People laughed at her at first. Who does she think she is? They said. But Wani kept going. Even when her feet were tired, even when her hands were sore, she smiled quietly to herself. She wasn't just working for today, she was building her future. Each new word she learned, each new skill she picked up, made her stronger. Wani didn't have fancy clothes or city connections, but she had something more powerful: determination. She knew she had been left behind, but she promised herself that one day, not only would she catch up, she would shine brighter than ever before. Wani finally got a chance to leave the village when she won a small scholarship to study in the city. It wasn't much, but it was her ticket to a new life. With hope in her heart and her mother's prayers in her bag, she moved to the city, ready to chase her dreams. But life in the city was nothing like she expected. The buildings were tall, the streets busy, and the people moved fast. Wani lived in a small, cramped room with peeling walls and no proper window. At night, she could hear rats running under her bed, but she didn't complain. She reminded herself, this is not the end, it's just the beginning. To survive, Wani took on 2 jobs. In the early mornings, she cleaned offices before anyone arrived. In the evenings, she worked at a small restaurant, washing dishes till her hands hurt. After her shifts, she would rush to school, tired but determined. Her classmates didn't make things easy. They looked at her simple clothes, heard her village accent, and whispered behind her back. She doesn't belong here, they'd say. She's too local. Some even laughed when she made mistakes in class. But Wani didn't let their words break her. Every insult became fuel. Every laugh made her study harder. She spent nights reading with a candle when the power went out. She asked questions, stayed after class, and even helped others when she could. Slowly, some of her classmates began to respect her hard work. She wasn't the loudest, but she was always present, always trying, always learning. Year after year, she climbed higher. Her grades improved, and her teachers started to notice her dedication. By the time she was in her final year, Wani was no longer that village girl people laughed at. She had become one of the top students in her business program. On graduation day, she stood tall in her gown, tears in her eyes, not because she was sad, but because she had made it. The girl they once mocked had finished with top honors. The city had tried to test her, break her, and send her back home, but Wani stayed strong. She proved that your background doesn't define your future. Just when Wani thought life couldn't surprise her anymore, something unexpected happened. One quiet afternoon, she received a letter. It was from a lawyer. At first, she thought it was a mistake, but as she read it again and again, her hands started to shake. A distant uncle, whom she barely knew, had passed away and left her a large share in his small company. Wani was shocked. This uncle had no children and had been secretly following her progress over the years. He had admired her hard work, strength, and honesty. While others looked down on her, he believed in her. People around her couldn't believe it. Some said it was luck. Others said she didn't deserve it. But Wani didn't listen. She'd come too far to let noise distract her now. She rolled up her sleeves and walked into the company's office, not as a scared girl, but as someone ready to learn and lead. The business was struggling, full of old systems and lazy staff, but Wani didn't complain. Instead, she sat with every department, asked questions, and listened carefully. She brought fresh ideas, learned fast, and treated everyone with respect. Slowly, she introduced better ways to run the business. She used what she had learned in school and added her natural wisdom. She changed the company's image, improved the quality of service, and added new products. Within a year, profits began to grow. Customers returned. Investors started to notice. People in the business world began whispering about a smart young woman changing the game. But Wani didn't care about fame. She worked quietly, focusing on growth and making the business stronger. She hired more women, trained staff from humble backgrounds, and gave jobs to people who once had no chance. She believed in giving others the opportunity she never had. Everyone who once laughed at her now watched in silence. The girl who once sold vegetables and washed dishes had become a rising name in the business world. She didn't shout her success from the rooftops. She let her results speak. And as her company grew, so did her confidence. Wani was no longer just the girl who had been left behind. She was now a leader, a builder, and a symbol of what true strength looks like when you never give up. Denny finally got what he had always dreamed of, a big job in the city. After years of trying, he was hired by a well-known multinational company. He felt proud, confident, and ready to prove that he belonged among the best. He wore his best suit, polished his shoes twice, and walked into the shiny glass building like he owned it. This was his big break, and he couldn't wait to climb the ladder of success. He was shown around by a staff member who spoke highly of the company's CEO. "She's young, smart, and powerful," the man said. "Everyone respects her. She turned this company around." Denny smiled politely, but didn't pay much attention. He just wanted to meet the team and start working. But everything changed when he entered the large, beautifully decorated office where the CEO was waiting. He stopped in his tracks. His heart skipped a beat. Sitting confidently behind the big desk, dressed in a sharp suit, was someone he never expected to see again, Wani. For a moment, Denny thought he was dreaming. The same village girl he once called unfit and too simple was now sitting in front of him as his boss. Wani looked calm and elegant. She was no longer the girl who cried when he broke her heart. She was powerful. She didn't need to say much. Her presence said it all. The room fell silent as their eyes met. Denny's pride slowly melted into shock and confusion. He felt small. He remembered the cruel words he had said to her. He remembered how he left her, thinking she could never make it. But here she was, running the very company he had just joined. Wani didn't raise her voice. She simply welcomed him like any other new staff member. Her voice was kind, but her eyes held power. Denny could see that she didn't hold on to the past, but she had not forgotten it either. She had grown, transformed, and now stood miles above where he had left her. All around her, staff showed her deep respect. They listened when she spoke and followed her lead. She wasn't just a CEO in title. She was a real leader, strong and wise. Denny realized that day that he had made the biggest mistake of his life. He had let go of a diamond while chasing shiny stones. And now, he had to work under the woman he once looked down on. From the moment Denny saw Wani in that CEO chair, he felt uncomfortable. He tried his best to avoid her. In meetings, he stayed quiet. In the hallway, he walked the other way. He hoped she would just ignore him, pretend like their past never happened. But Wani had grown stronger. She wasn't the shy village girl anymore. She had faced storms and survived. And now, she wasn't going to let anyone make her feel small, not even Denny. One afternoon, during a team meeting, Wani noticed Denny again, trying to stay silent, hiding behind others. She looked directly at him and asked for his input on a project. His voice trembled a little, but he spoke. After the meeting, she asked him to stay back for a quick word. People sensed something was about to happen. In her office, the tension was thick. Denny stood with nervous hands. Wani looked at him calmly, not with anger, but with quiet power. She spoke softly, but every word hit deep. "Do you remember when we used to dream together? How we promised to build a life side by side?" she asked. Denny stayed silent. She continued, "You called me a village girl. You said I was not fit for your future. But look at where we are now." Unknown to them, a few staff members near the door overheard the conversation. Whispers started. Everyone knew Denny was the man who once left the CEO because he thought she wasn't good enough. Now, he was just another employee in her company. Wani didn't shout. She didn't insult him. She just told the truth, and the truth was heavy. She had worked for everything she had. She had built her success with pain, effort, and determination. And the man who once doubted her was now standing in the very place she had created. After she finished speaking, Denny lowered his head. He had no words. He felt the eyes of others on him, not with pity, but with quiet judgment. Wani, however, remained graceful. She told him, "This company respects effort, not background. You have a chance here, but only if you earn it." That moment changed everything. People in the office admired her even more, not just because she was their boss, but because she stood strong in front of her past. She didn't hide. She didn't break. She turned her pain into power and showed everyone what true strength looked like. Even though Wani had become the CEO and earned everyone's respect, not everyone was happy about it. Some of Denny's old friends in the company started whispering behind her back. They didn't like that someone from a village, someone who once wore simple clothes and walked barefoot as a child, was now sitting in the highest office. They tried to make things hard for her. They spread lies. They made jokes. Some even said she didn't deserve her position, that she just got lucky. But Wani didn't let their words break her. She had been through worse. She had felt deeper pain. So instead of fighting back or trying to prove herself with anger, she let her actions speak louder. She worked harder, smarter, and stayed focused on her goals. While others wasted time gossiping, she was building something bigger. Wani started expanding her business. She opened new branches in nearby towns. She created more jobs, especially for people from rural villages like hers. She remembered how hard it was to get a chance, so she gave opportunities to those who were often ignored. She trained young women, helped them learn about business, and gave them hope for a better future. Many of them looked at her like a hero, and truly, she had become one. Her story started spreading beyond the company. Local newspapers wrote about her. TV shows invited her for interviews. Everyone wanted to know about the village girl who turned pain into power, who didn't let rejection destroy her, but instead used it to rise. Wani didn't brag. She didn't seek revenge. When people asked her about Denny or the people who doubted her, she simply smiled and said, "They helped me grow. I thank them." That shocked many people. She carried no hate, only purpose. Over time, even those who once doubted her began to admire her. They saw her strength. They saw her heart. She wasn't just a businesswoman. She was a symbol of what happens when you refuse to give up, a symbol of what a village girl can become when she believes in herself. Wani had risen above her past. And the best part, she reached back to lift others with her. That's why people loved her. Not just for what she built, but for who she became. She proved that where you come from doesn't decide where you can go. Denny stood silently, watching Wani from a distance. Every day at work, he saw her leading with confidence, speaking with wisdom, and being admired by everyone. He felt a heavy pain in his chest, a deep regret that didn't go away. He remembered the way he had looked down on her, the cruel words he had said. He had once called her unfit and too simple, but now she was everything he once dreamed of and more, and he knew he had thrown it all away. Guilt followed him everywhere. He couldn't sleep properly. He couldn't focus on work. No matter how hard he tried, his heart kept whispering, "You let go of something precious." So one day, with shaky hands and a heart full of regret, Denny went to Wani's office. He asked if they could talk. Wani agreed, calm and collected as always. He said he was sorry, truly sorry. He said he didn't know better back then, that his pride had blinded him. He told her he admired her growth, her courage, and her heart. Then, he offered to help her in any way, to work under her, support her projects, or even just be a friend again. His voice trembled. His eyes looked honest. Wani listened quietly. Then she looked him in the eyes and said, "I forgive you, Denny, but forgiveness doesn't mean we go back to what we were." Her voice was kind, but strong. "I've learned my worth. I no longer chase the past. I no longer need your love to feel valuable." Denny nodded slowly, the truth hitting him like a storm. She had moved on, while he was still stuck in yesterday. He felt humbled, not just by her success, but by her strength. She didn't carry hate. She just knew better now. She had become a woman who valued herself too much to go backwards. Denny left her office quietly. The regret stayed with him, but this time it came with a lesson. He finally saw what he had lost. Not just a woman, but a future filled with greatness. And he knew he would never find someone like Wani again. Wani knew her success wasn't just for her. She remembered the dusty roads of her village, the little girls who looked at the sky with big dreams but had no way to chase them. She had once been one of them. So, with her heart full of purpose, she started a scholarship fund. It was for girls in rural areas, girls like she once was, who wanted to go to school, learn skills, and build a better future. The foundation gave them hope, books, and opportunities. Wani visited villages often, telling her story and inspiring others to believe that anything was possible, no matter where you come from. One day, to her surprise, Denny showed up at one of the outreach events. He had been quietly watching her progress and realized he wanted to do something meaningful too. Not for attention, not for pride, but because her story had changed him. He asked if he could help. Wani agreed, not because she needed his help, but because she saw the sincerity in his eyes. Denny began volunteering with the foundation. He helped organize events, mentored young boys, and supported programs that encouraged respect for women. Slowly, he started understanding things he never cared about before. Hard work without recognition, lifting others instead of stepping on them. Through his work, he learned that real success wasn't just about money or position. It was about impact, kindness, and giving people a chance. Wani and Denny didn't go back to being lovers. That chapter had closed, but they worked side by side with mutual respect. No more anger, no more bitterness. Just two people who had grown in different ways, now walking a new path where their goals aligned. Their bond was no longer romantic. It was something deeper, based on lessons, shared dreams, and second chances. And through their work, they both healed and helped others rise. Their story became a light for many. It showed that even broken dreams can build beautiful futures if we rise above pain and choose purpose. Wani finally went back to her village, but this time, everything was different. She wasn't the same girl they once called just a village girl. She returned with confidence, success, and a story that inspired everyone around her. People who had once doubted her now looked at her with respect and amazement. Wani had become a queen, not because of a crown or fancy clothes, but because she owned her destiny and proved that where you come from does not decide where you can go. Her journey from the dusty roads to a powerful CEO was shared in every corner of the village. Young girls looked up to her, dreaming bigger dreams and believing they could achieve them too. Wani didn't just keep her success for herself, she invested in the village, building schools, creating jobs, and offering scholarships to girls who wanted to change their lives. She showed them that success starts with courage, hard work, and never giving up. At the same time, those who once mocked or rejected her could only watch from a distance as she rose higher and higher. They realized too late how wrong they had been. Wani's story became a lesson, never to judge someone by where they come from or what others say about them. Wani had transformed her pain into power, her heartbreak into hope. She became a symbol of strength, a queen who ruled not with a crown, but with her spirit and determination. Her life proved that sometimes the greatest victories come from the ones people least expect, and sometimes the biggest success is simply choosing to rise, no matter the odds. If you believe in rising above every challenge and proving the world wrong, share Wani's story with everyone you know. Don't forget to like, comment your own #, Village Girl Victory, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that show real strength comes from within.